This podcast episode is presented by a generous sponsorship of Radio Free Santa Clarita by the California Institute of the Arts, one of the top art schools in the world located right here in Santa Clarita. You can find out more information about their Discover Music program, CalArts summer program for high school students. Learn more at calarts.edu/discover. Hello, welcome, and thanks for listening to another fresh episode of the Awesome Town Sound podcast. We have an extra large triple layer episode supreme this week. Three interviews with members of the bands Out of Time, Fleef, and Burning Red. They're all going to be playing a show together at Vincenzo's on Saturday. We'll also be hearing a track from Out of Time, so stay tuned. But before we get to all of that, let's dive into a supersized calendar of events. I counted nearly 20 bands playing this weekend in Santa Clarita. My goodness. Let's get right to it. You can start the week with James Hackett. He'll be at Tomato Joe's at 6 p.m. on Thursday, July 11th. And Sean and Colin will be at the Hyatt Regency Valencia at 7 p.m. On Friday, July 12th, Wild Child, a Doors cover group, will be at the Canyon at 6 p.m. The Future Ex-Husbands will be at Wolf Creek Brewery at 6 p.m. Vinyl Gypsies will be at Greater Pacific at the Hyatt Regency Valencia at 7 p.m. Jim Gibson will be the featured artist at the Valencia Jazz and Blues Concert Series. That starts at 7 p.m. And our featured artist from last week on the podcast, Some Other Loco, will be at the local pub and grill at 8 p.m. And actually, he'll be there 2 nights, on Friday and Saturday night. The big night of the week, Saturday, July 13th, Cornelius Was Here will be at It's a Grind Coffee House in Castaic, starting at 6:30. Right Side Up will be at Backyard Grub and Brews at 7. Concerts in the Park. We'll have the Surf City All-Stars. A lot of good Beach Boys music there at Central Park at 7 p.m. This week's featured artists here on the podcast, Out of Time, Burning Red, and Fleef are all going to be at Vincenzo starting at 7 p.m. And the Snareheads will be at Alchemy at 9 p.m. And on Sunday, July 14th, Abracadabra, a Latin jazz group, will be at the Santa Clarita Swap Meet starting at 10 a.m. Gathan Jenkins will be at the Canyon at 4 p.m. The Santa Clarita Blues Society will have their second Sunday Blues Jam, as they always do, at the American Legion 507 at 5 p.m. Miles to Go will be at Salt Creek Grill at 5 p.m. And the Al Pascua Jazz Project will be at Black and Blue at 6 p.m. To stay informed about all these shows and more, tune into our Facebook page at facebook.com/theawesometownsound. So, you remember Vinyl and Sheen, right? They were our featured artists back in the first week of May. Well, then you probably remember Michael Whelan. He's a killer guitar player and an incredible musician. His newest project, Out of Time, will be taking the stage for the first time at Vincenzo's this Saturday. Here's Michael to tell you all about Out of Time, one of this week's featured artists on the Awesome Town Sound podcast.
Hello there, my name is Michael Whelan, and I play keyboards, guitars, and I help write songs for the group Out of Time. The project started back in 2013 with some old high school friends, some of which who didn't even really play musical instruments. But we were just talking and coming up with this idea of a parody 80s hair metal album, and we came up with titles for a track list, and then we ended up actually writing some songs and kind of producing this little demo album that we released in 2015. So yeah, we've never really played anywhere as a group because we never really had a consistent lineup. But just recently, I thought it might be fun to do a gig and play some of these songs live. So we'll actually be performing for the first time ever on Saturday, July 13th at Vincenzo's Pizza, playing with other bands like Burning Red and Fleef. The kind of music we play is definitely melodic rock. The songs definitely became their own things once we started writing them kind of seriously without trying to be like a parody 80s hair metal thing. So there's a few different styles going on in there. There's maybe even some prog, maybe even a little bit of punk rock in there sometimes. Lots of hard guitar riffs and chanty choruses, all that fun stuff. What really inspires us, me and my songwriting partner, Dino, we have several big inspirations, but this album was heavily inspired by Van Halen's first album, Van Halen 1, with the single guitar track panned on the left and the huge amounts of reverb and kind of just the fun choruses and the fun songs. So there's some influences. Maybe you can even hear some other things in there like Billy Idol and Scorpions. Just a lot of kind of hard rock. Funny enough, this whole thing started off as a joke, but this is the first project that I was a part of that was the first to ever put music out into the web and have something for people to listen to, some songs for people to, download and own and just be a part of. So I guess we've succeeded at that, even though when we put it out back in 2015, we really didn't do anything with it. We didn't advertise for it. We didn't do any sort of gigs or anything of the sort. We just kind of put it out there for our friends and family to listen to. We never really intended to build an audience with it because it was just supposed to be a side project. But I guess our future goals would be to definitely write some more songs. This new lineup we have together is really great. It's very, very different lineup from what we started off with back in 2015 when we put out these songs. Almost everybody's entirely different, but there's a lot of energy and inspiration in the air. Everybody in this new lineup is an incredible songwriter, lyricist, musician. We just want to be making more stuff, have more content. The song we're sharing with you is called Blast from the Past. It's the first track off of our demo album that we released back in 2015. The song is about exactly how the project started off as kind of a idolizing of the 80s rock scene and wishing that something like it would come back. It's about not being too fond of the current music scene that's going on today and kind of just wanting to relive the days of old. Production-wise, it's not the strongest, but it is a demo album coming from kids straight out of high school trying to write heavy metal music, so what can you expect? You'll hear one guitar track coming out of the left speaker or headphone. We intentionally did this because of Van Halen 1's first record, where the whole album, the rhythm guitar track, is panned really hard on the left speaker. So fans of Van Halen, hopefully you get a kick out of that, and watch out for that. Hope you enjoy it.
And now, here's Out of Time on the Awesome Town Sound Podcast.
If you like what you hear, I implore you to go check out our demo album. Search for Out of Time and look for our song Blast from the Past, and you should be able to find the rest of the album that way. It's on all sorts of streaming platforms like Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer, Tidal, all these sorts of streaming platforms. It's also on YouTube. We have lots of fun songs with all sorts of diverse subjects. It's not all, rock and roll. Yeah, you can even buy it on iTunes, Amazon, and all the money is going to go straight into making a really nice sounding next album, which we would really appreciate the support. And if you want to see us live, we will start doing shows as of this weekend. It's Wednesday today, and we'll be doing our first show in a couple days on Saturday, which is pretty crazy to think about. And if you give us a like on Facebook, we'll keep you in touch with any time we're doing live shows and anything that's going on with this project. And hopefully we'll see you down the road. And please give us feedback on what you like, what you don't like. Hopefully we'll see you down the road. Enjoy. Thank you.
We have additional interviews this week with Fleef and Burning Red, two other groups that will be performing alongside Out of Time at the Vincenzo's show on Saturday. To hear those interviews, download the bonus episode of this week's podcast using your favorite podcast app. Thank you for listening to the Awesome Town Sound Podcast. We are a production of Radio Free Santa Clarita. For more information, visit radiofreesantaclarita.org. You can keep up with all the local music events that we mention here by visiting the Awesome Town Sound Facebook page. And if you enjoyed our show, please tell your friends about it on social media. Tell your friends to subscribe, because the bigger this music community gets, the better. We live in an awesome town with awesome artists, awesome bands, and awesome fans. So keep on listening to the Awesome Town Sound Podcast.